You guys having a good time?
Yeah.
All right. So since you were the first Michael Myers,
Thank you, kind son.
you go ahead and lead this off.
Well, I appreciate that very
I
much.
take my hat off to you, but then people would say that I'm going bald, so I'm going to leave it on. But I do take my hat off to you, sir.
I appreciate that. I'll take my wig off.
All right.
As you probably know, we did Halloween in 1978. And John Carpenter and Devin Hill wrote the script. And Dean Cunny was the cameraman with Jack Stella, who was the operator. And Don Barron was the production manager. As you know, Carpenter directed and Deborah Hill was the producer of it. Not knowing, other than what they were building, was a contemporary Halloween story of teenagers having party dude and, and with all the other things that goes along with teenagers. And John cited that in their script and everything, well, let's kind of have a little bit of more risque. And so they showed a little TNA, which shocked mom and dad who like horror movies because they thought that was a little risque. But it turned into be a blockbuster in a lot of ways because it allowed a young kid who dressed up like a little clown that emotionally became disturbed and was then put into an institution, and years later he escaped on Halloween. And he was taking revenge on all the friends of his sister, which was Janet Leigh. Now my job was very interesting because I didn't do anything. And you look at me as I was under contract at Police Story over in Warner Brothers, and I had a steady gig. But Deborah Hill was a buddy of mine, and all the camera people and crews, we did about 6 or 7 films, independent, low-budget films, that was going on at that time before this show. So they asked me to come in, because it was a nighttime shoot, that I would come over and I would work with them to make sure that anybody, anything on the behind camera, in front of camera, all the people that had anything that looked like tripped, falls, or fallen down, that I would make sure they wouldn't get hurt for the liability. And on our low-budget films of $300,000, you have not always professional people in front of this camera, and little things happen. So I worked heavily doing that. Now, John Carpenter told me that anytime I tell you jump in, put the mask on, because I need to insert pickup shots or whatever it is. Second of all, you will do all the heavy stuff. So I did when Donald Pleasant shot me, and I went through the porch window and over the railing and to the ground. And not knowing that little fall would resonate for 34 years. But I put the Michael Myers mask on a number of times. But falling back to the preset of the film, Nick Castle was the original choice of John Carpenter to be the Michael Myers. Now, Nick Castle, in his own right, is a writer, producer, who directed not Starman, but The Last Starfighter. He does a lot of television. He's a tremendous director in his own self. And he graduated out at SC with John Carpenter films at the film school, so they're real buddies. So he was helping him same as they did at NSC. So he became the original Michael Myers. The next guy was Tony Moran, who was the 21-year-old where he antagonized Jamie Lee upstairs and ended up struggling, and they pulled the mask off because they wanted to show a young dude, which Nick Castle couldn't do it, and I sure couldn't do it, that looked like 21 years old. So they hired the little girl that was on Happy Days' brother, but he needed a gig and get his A card, and he became the 21-year-old Michael Myers. I doubled as much as whatever John wanted me to do on the nighttime shoots there. Second of all, the most important guy on the film was Tommy Lee Wallace. Now, I don't know if most of you read the credits on the film, but a lot of the guys who are really into Halloween know more about Halloween than I do. Because my profession was making films. I worked all over the world. I got almost 800 films, television, commercials, documentaries. I did all the Batman live shows for Warner Brothers for the first 3 years all over the world at Six Flags over Texas. I've done the Clumps, the Blue Jackets, Beyond Sundown, outdoor drama. So stage was always my present, but film was where I made my health and welfare and my business with that. So when I did John Carpenter's show, it was just another show. It wasn't what it turned out to be in the franchise of all the Halloween, which this gentleman here who ended up doing Rob Zombie's show, 2 of the Halloween shows that were very important to the legacy. And it took another step in the direction of each of the directors and writers and stuff for those shows. So, but Tommy Lee Wallace was the production designer. He made that show, made it look wintertime back east and whatever, the leaves blowing and all that stuff. But not only that, Tommy Lee Wallace, when you saw the station wagon drive by the girls walking down the street on the wintry day, that was Tommy Lee Wallace with the mask on. The guy who came behind on the bushes after the girls passed was a grip who threw the coat up because they didn't know if they were going to pick that shot up then or later. They said, hey, you put the, so everybody jumped in because it was a small crew, $300,000. And the only guy that made any money cash up front and everything was Donald Pleasant, who came in for 1 week, and that was the last week of shoot. And he's the only guy that made the reap the benefits of the show at the beginning. There was only 6, maybe 7 SAG players, Screen Actor Guild players. All the other people were non-union or SAG eligible by working on a low-budget project. The only other union people was John Carpenter, who was DGA, Don Barron's production guy, and the sound guy. Everybody else was non-union. Even Dean Cunny, the independent, one of the best camera guys that ever hit the spot, who was an independent guy, ended up being the finest IA cameraman and director, which is world renowned now, all started with Halloween. Everybody who was in production of design, all the departments, the wardrobe, sound, and all that, every one of them have split and went into all the fields of major filmmaking at all the studios, Paramount, Fox, 20th Century Universe, all have some won Academy Awards and after awards and all the things you think. So this show not only went for 34 years, which we're talking here today, and you guys still appreciate it. We had a great following of 6 other, and then the 2 that Zombie did. But not only that, all these people that work behind the camera that make John Carpenter's film the great for what it is, all spiraled up. And that's the honor that I have because all these people were my friends and I worked with them on other projects. So I want to turn it back to,
So I got a question for you then.
oh no.
How many people actually wore the mask in that movie then?
Everybody wore the mask in the movie. You can go to dinner and there are people wearing the mask. But no, the people who wore the mask was the following people. You had Nick Castle, you had Tony Moran, you had Tommy Lee Wallace, you had me, you had the Grip, and that was 5?
I'm on 5.
5?
I'm on 5. I'm counting.
And then on some of the inserts and pickup shots that they used, there was some, I think Tommy Lee picked it up again, and then one other guy picked it up. But I don't know if they used those in the final product or not. But I think there was 5 people total.
5 people?
Well, Deborah Hill wore the mask, but I don't know where it was inserted at, or if it was used, or it was on the floor. I can't tell you. But her hand, the hand you see Michael Myers go through the door, that was Deborah Hill's hand. And the close-up. That was her. But it seemed like everybody wore the mask. When the Chow Hall truck came and the movie vehicles, and we were sitting there, somebody would walk with the costume and sit down, and Michael Myers was eating with you. So you never know, it was a joke, but it was, a lot of people were. But in front of camera, I don't know, maybe 5 in Pledge Deborah Hill.
Wow. Keep talking, I just got my coffee. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Shut up, James.
But
You talked enough. Give me a chance.
In his show, Michael Myers' mask was deteriorating. And he got older and older and older. And so he might got the remnants
He is going to keep talking, isn't he?
of the show.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over to him, and then we'll go into questions what you guys want to do.
Thank you. Well, how I got the job was I was up in Canada, in Vancouver, getting ready to talk to producers about another picture, and my phone rang, and it was Rob Zombie. And I just did the Devil's Rejects with him, and you know, Rob Zombie calls your phone, you kind of pick it up, right? Just to see what the hell he's going to say. So he goes, what are you doing? I want you to do my next movie. I said, what is it? It's Halloween. I said, oh, Jesus, Rob, I do not want to wear a hockey mask in a movie. Fuck. Right? Right? Yeah, that's how much I knew about horror films at the time. Rob goes, wrong movie, dumbass. Okay, thanks. It's the William Shatner mask, by the way. Oh, okay, I don't want to wear a white mask. No, we're going to age it. It's going to look real cool. You're going to like it. Let me tell you what I want to do. And he explained how they want to do a backstory and make Michael Myers be a product of his environment. And he wanted me to take it to the next level and not just be a one-dimensional killer going like this. I said, okay, so I do get to kill a lot of people though, right? And he said, yes, whatever way you'd like to kill them. I said, okay, I'm in. And I'm here standing here talking to you with one of the first Michael Myers. So some of you guys have to have some questions for us. Who's going to start this off? Somebody has to have a question. Yes, I enjoyed carrying the naked women. Any other questions?
Did you find the mask was what you expected it to be when you were walking around?
Did I find the mask what it was expected to be?
Yeah, did you expect
Well, Wayne Toth made the mask. He made a mold of my face, and he cast the mask. And I went into Wayne's studio and put the mask on for the first time, and that was just intense. Just intense. It was a fantastic feeling. And then when I had the knife in my hands, I kind of feel fulfilled.
Now, I got to answer another question on the same thing in the mask. As you know, Deborah Hill and Tommy Lee Wallace were arguing about who the character was going to be. And Tommy Lee Wallace wanted the clown face, continue on from the kid up to whatever. But Deborah Hill said, no, 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 I wrote the script and this is the way it's going to be. So they went down to the magic shop on Hollywood Boulevard and they looked at all the masks on the wall and she picked out Shatner's mask. Now that mask was very thick and very big. It was super solid. I mean, super solid. So when they put it on, I had to put a towel around my head because it was so big and sweaty and it was made out of that latex. So when I did the fall, I was worried more about not hitting my butt on the railing and hitting my head on the eaves because it was only like 19 inches the difference, the way it was projected on there, that my legs wouldn't hit and it flipped me over because John Carpenter wanted me to stay in the same pose that I was taking the shot of the bullet. Well, what happened when I was paying attention of my flight, the mask turned on me and I'm now looking at the ears. And so I just concentrated on landing because what we wanted to do is that most porta pits are about anywhere up to 30 inches deep, you know, and made it with a lot of air in it. And so the guy would hit and you bounce back up, maybe 5, 6, 10 inches. Your legs flip up and all that. So what we did, I made a special high fall pad up that was only 10 inches thick, but 5 by 10 wide, and I put coffee cups, styrofoam coffee cups underneath. So as soon as I hit it, I compressed the coffee cups, I didn't back up, so when I went through camera, I stayed out of camera. And that's what we did for that. But that mask was big, and it flipped, and I gotta tell you, looking at somebody's ears is not good when you're going in the airplane. But that's what happened to me.
See, that's why I had them fit mine to my head. And I used my coffee cups for coffee.
Yeah.
But no, I know. I would have never wanted to take that fall. I mean,
see, they had
how
money.
you do that.
They had money. We didn't have it. We had 300,000. What you have? 5, 10 million?
Yeah, it was up there.
You know, we had hamburgers and Coca-Cola, and you had steak and what was it?
And we had hamburgers and Coca-Cola too.
They had a catering truck. We had McDonald's.
Okay, there I would have drawn the line.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
This is for both of you. What are some of your best memories out of doing all these movies? What did you enjoy the most about them?
This movie here or all?
All the Halloween.
Every movie's different. You get different memories from everyone. You know, I mean, it's. I had a fantastic time doing Sabretooth and X-Men. You know, I had a fantastic time working with Rob Zombie on the Halloweens. Had a great time doing Troy. You know, Scorpion King, all of them. They all have different memories. But my motto is, if I'm not having a good time, I'm not going to be there. So, try and have a good time.
My recollection of almost 60 years now, I was very fortunate. I started in the business in rodeo at the age of 12, doing junior rodeo, you know, little sheep bulldogging and all that stuff, riding little calves, and, you know, and learning the process of it. But my Jack Lord was doing a television show, and that was kind of a rodeo show, and they cast me to be one of the young cowboys riding in the background. That was when I started. But through the year, I was under contract with Barry Bostwick. I don't know if you all know Barry Bostwick. Barry Bostwick is, you know, he did Rocky Horror. He did Tony Award on that high school show that they did, John Travolta and all them did in the film. But not only that, I was under contract with David Houthall. I was his physical double in Knight Rider, where I did all his fights and jumps and transfers and all that stuff. I worked with Peter O'Toole for almost between 6 and 11 years, depending on when he was sober. And so the question was that I worked overseas in Italy, Africa, and all those places. But when you come down, everything is precious when you deal with these celebrities, because I had a great ride. I had stage, because I came out of stage, and I had film, and I had tremendous, because my mentors were all the people that you saw work with John Wayne, Haywards, and Robertsons, and Reggie Parsons, and Bear Huggins, all these guys that made the cowboy westerns that you watched on TV today sensational. Then all these people, they put their parts into me, and I became what I became in the film, because they liked me, they cherished me for what I did, because I was working the legacy that they brought to me, and I was trying to continue on. But the most impressive thing I had, which I never thought in 100 years of my life that I would ever have a chance to meet or double and work with in a film. And I got a call from Fox, and they told me that we're going to do this Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I said, well, they already shot it with Harrison Ford and all those guys. He said, no, we're talking about another actor, English actor. And I said, you're going to do it again? Yeah, this time we're going to do it right. I said, wait a minute. You're telling Lucas did it right? He said, no. He said, the guy you're going to double is Stuart Granger. And I said, Stuart Granger? And if you remember Stuart Granger, he was probably the most debonair, beautiful man in the world, and playing heroes and all those swashbucklers and all those Irish films in Europe and all that stuff. And he came over here where I got to double him, and he was exactly what I always thought he was. He was a prick.
Nice.
But he was a nice guy. And we talked about the safaris and all that. So there's so many with the questions that the gentleman asked. You can't pause, but Stuart Granger, when I was a little kid, umpteen years later, I get to double the guy. Now, how can you say that in the world that you would ever come to that? And that's what movie industry allows you to do. When you're good in your craft, and they sell the industry, the producers, the casting directors, and all the people, the independents, they highlight you, they like what you do, they cast you, and you go forward, and you go forward, and you go forward. So I was very lucky, and I thank God, and I thank all the producers and all my mentors, and I thank this guy for going on further 2 years after mine, and I have to go a little further. Ron Zombie had his opening premiere at Grumman's Chinese 3 years ago, November.
Yeah, I think, well, that was like 2007, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I got a phone call, and all my on my phone, it said, "Hey, here's a Ron Copy. How much you got my red gun?" I'm like, who the hell is that? Somebody's pulling a joke. And it was some guy impersonating him or whatever it was. But they invited me to the screening to walk the red carpet. And it's the first time I met Ron. So anyway, I met him for the first time. He was a dapper guy. He was shaved at that time. And he had this nice, what was it, suit, polished evening jacket.
Yeah, I think I was dressed a little overdressed for that.
Yeah, and I said, wow, we got one of these guys working, you know. But I gotta tell you, he was a sweetheart. Not that the other way they met, but he was really nice and humble. We didn't get to talk a lot, but we were asked, Ron was asked to go outside on Hollywood Boulevard, which there was 3,000 to 4,000 people behind the barrier, and they asked me to go out there, which I said, hey guys, it's their show, why me? So they took us outside, and the people broke through the railing on Hollywood Boulevard. Rob took off running. The security and the sheriff said, hey, come on, go on. I said, no, they just want a picture and thing. So I stood out there in the middle of the street and got raped.
But you enjoyed it, right?
At this age, you enjoy anything.
Tweak, tweak, twiddle, twiddle, right?
Right. So, you know, so they carried me back and they put me in the back thing there and they did the presentation and they did the screening. And then when I looked at the film, I said, you know, Carpenter's Michael Myers was a pansy to this guy.
I told you I was going to kick it up a notch, didn't I?
Boy, he took it up more than a notch. So anyway, I was very appreciative of meeting him that night and Rob and all the people that was in the cast. It was a great red carpet, and I wish you great news.
Thank you. Same to you. Any more questions? Somebody has to have some questions. Yes. Did I research the roles for Michael Myers? Yeah, I did. I did not talk to any of the other actors. I did not know any of the other actors at the time, but what I did do is I watched all the Halloween films because I wanted to see what was brought to the role in the past, except for number 3, because as you guys know, Season of the Witch, Michael Myers doesn't even appear in. It's like, what the hell was that, right? Anyhow, so I did watch all the Halloweens and see what all the different actors brought to it, and I wanted to bring that to it, like the certain walk and some things, but then put my own spin to it, and like I said, kick it up a notch and make the killings a little bit more extreme and that. But yes, I did watch, because when you're asked to do a Halloween film and play Michael Myers, it's a pretty damn iconic character, and you better get it right. And, you know, I'm just thankful that the fans seem to think that I did an okay job with it. So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
The other thing I want to bring about, to continue on this, is that this man has his own production company. He's got films coming out, films that they're editing now, and films they're going to be making. I'm working on 2 films. I just finished one called Devil's Nine, which we played 5 months in the swamps down in Florida. Chasing these mythic Satan people that were created back 3,000 years before Christ. And it's a DD type film, digitalized, fantastic visualization with live animation. And we finished that. That should come out sometime at the end of this year, God willing. I'm doing another one called the Sci-Fi Channel movie of the week called The Pit, which I'll be starring in as playing the Goofy Doctor, and which is a real sadist type government guy who thinks he owns the government, probably like the administration we have today. But anyway, I play the doctor, and I'll be finishing that, and then I'll be starting a Western in August, which we'll see at your local theaters, of some current films coming up. Now this gentleman has a lot of stuff going on, and so I'm going to turn that over back to him.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just started up my own production company, Main Entertainment, and our first picture is Compound Fracture. It's a supernatural thriller with myself, Derek Mears, who was Jason in Friday the 13th, who is a buddy of mine, a drinking buddy of mine. Not that drinking is good, I'm not promoting it at all. Just saying, okay? And there's the poster right there, and Mr. Muse Watson, the killer from I Know What You Did Last Summer, So it has 3 serial killers in this picture. And it's also got Leslie Easterbrook in it, Dan Roebuck's in it, and it is in the editing stage right now. We have Tyler Bates, who did the score and music for 300 and The Watchmen. He is doing our music. And then from there we go on to post. So it'll be coming out in a few months. So everybody look for that. And yeah, so do we have any more questions? Somebody asked, yes, we got a question. Did I keep any of my memorabilia? Okay, where should I start? Yes, I've got the rubber forehead from Sabretooth. I've got the claws from Sabretooth. I've got the scleral eye pieces from Sabretooth. So yes, I did keep stuff from X-Men. Troy, I've got the whole leather outfit because my wife likes seeing me in the... Right?
Can we go any further on that?
And
Can you elaborate on that?
Huh?
Could you elaborate a little more on that?
And for Halloween, to answer that question, I have the original mask from 1, the original mask from 2, I have the orange mask, I have both of the knives. At the end of the day, the last scene that we did on Halloween 1, the prop master is a big horror fan. And the props department came to me and presented me with the bloody knife and said, "Here, you deserve this. You took the character to another level." I said, "Gee, thanks." What the hell am I going to do with the bloody knife? I'll put it on my wall at home, yeah. So yeah, I have the props, I have the suits, I have all kinds of crazy stuff. I keep it for my kids. Yeah, right? You never know. They might decide they want to become a serial killer someday, and I can outfit them, right? What the hell? Any other questions?
On Halloween 1, for example, everything was under security, especially the mask. Deborah Hill would bring the mask to work, and Deborah Hill would take the mask home. And the reason is because they didn't want Schaffner or anybody to know whose mask it was. And not only that, they would, at that time, everybody was filing lawsuits for posters, pictures that were being used in films and television that didn't have permission. So they were really worried about that. But no, there was 5 extra masks made, but they wasn't as good quality, and they fell apart and then they disappeared. I don't know where they went. But there was nothing left of that show that anybody really wanted other than what Deborah Hill took.
See, and that's why I did my movie with a rock star, because we looted the trailer, you know? Rob at the end, he goes, "Come on, let's raid the props department. We're getting some shit." I'm like, "Cool, let's go." And we all just walked out with a bunch of stuff. They hated it, but what can you do, right? Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why Rob said, "Hey, I want an actor to play it because I want someone that can bring life to the character." Yeah, it is very tough when you don't have your voice. Because with your voice, you know, you tell somebody to piss off, they get it, right? Whereas when you're just using your body, you come, you know? Or if you want to back off, or, you know, so in the first one, in the asylum, I carried myself differently, I walked differently, I kind of slouched, and then throughout the film, as I got my mask back and dug up my mask, then put the mask on, and then Michael Myers was back to the killing machine that he was. So yeah, it's kind of a neat acting experiment to be able to do something like that. Yeah. Any other questions?
Come on, ask those questions.
Yes. Were you upset when they redid Halloween?
No. In real life, I did one. That's the only one I ever seen. I haven't seen any other until they invited me to see his show. So I saw the beginning and I saw the last one.
So you saw the two best?
Yeah. I've never watched any of the other shows, but I know all the Michael Myers because they're buddies of mine, and we had one reunion, and we all got together, and but no, nothing like that.
They did talk to me about doing another one. They put it on the shelf. It's hard to say what they're going to do. You know, there's talk Halloween 3D. There's all kinds of talk of other stuff. I'm just going to have to wait and see, read the script, you know, if they present it to me. And if there is another Michael Myers, you know, that's fine. I just hope he sucks. No, I'm kidding. I wish the franchise the very best. Yeah, right. No, kidding. Any other questions?
Yeah, does playing Michael Myers give you a taste for playing horror films? I don't know. Did you do horror films before this, anything? And did this give you a taste for doing more?
Yeah, you know, I did a little film called How to Make a Monster, which I don't know if you'd want to call it a horror film or whatever, but yeah, I did that one, and then I did Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects, where I took over the role of Rufus. And I was on that for 4 days, got to shoot at a bunch of cops and have a great time. And then from that, he asked me, he wrote the Halloweens and called me and said, hey, do you want to do the Halloween? So in essence, it helped me start my own company. So I am greatly indebted to Rob Zombie. I'm greatly indebted to the Halloween franchise to give me an opportunity to get into this genre. I mean, I'm just having a great time. You know, because it's because of you fans that we have a job and a career, and it's just fantastic. And the horror fans are some of the most loyal fans out there. And my next film is a supernatural thriller for all you paranormal people, just saying. Any other questions? Yes. Can you be in my next movie? You'll work for free? Can you serve coffee? No, I'm kidding. You can carry the lunch tray. No, I don't know.
He isn't looking for investors.
You never know. Next time we put out a breakdown, apply, and we'll definitely take a look at it. All right. Any other questions? Yes. Pardon me? I can't. Yeah, this actually Compound Fracture was written by my wife, Renee Dearlings, and myself. So we wrote it, produced it, and are starring in it. So I guess the next step would be trying to direct or something. So I don't know. And I did do catering on that too, so I did carry a lot of coffee my damn self. Any other questions? Somebody's got to have a question. Yet, we'll see if you can be in my next movie, all right? Damn. Anybody else got another question? Somebody's got to have a question. We'll see. You know, that is an interesting question, because the first one kind of followed the same script and showed how Michael Myers was a product of his environment, and the second one kind of goes into Rob Zombie's mind. So I knew I wanted to kick up the killings, and I said, Rob, if I'm going to do the second one for you, I'm going to have to make these killings way more intense than the first one. So I kind of enjoyed doing that. Like that first one when I killed the nurse, that was kind of fun. Oscar winner, right? I've got to be the only serial killer that killed an Oscar winner. Olivia Spencer, yes, you died at my knife. Love it.
Not only that, when I watched the film on the Grumman's Chinese big screen, I just found out what the original Michael Myers was in John Carpenter. He was a pansy compared to this guy. I mean, he made me look like I shouldn't even been in the film. But anyway, no, but I mean, he was much stronger in violence and all that good stuff that horror brings today. But John Carpenter showed that he was more what's in the shadows, psychological, you know, and let your mind create the imagery of drama and action and horror. And, but no, on the other side, I just figured, I said, wow, man, I don't want to get around with this guy when he gets to the night and 5 minutes of rock music.
Any other questions? Somebody has to have some questions before we take off here. Yes. What's it like working with Rob Zombie? That was really surreal. The first time was on The Devil's Rejects, and I hadn't met Rob. I went in there and we started filming, and the sound guys were playing Rob's videos with the dreadlocks. You know, I was like, okay. And then I look over, and then Rob's sitting in the director's chair chewing gum, going, "Oh, and I just looked back and forth. It was surreal. You know, and then I walked over there and Rob goes, "Oh, hey, Tyler, how you doing? Thanks for coming." I'm like, okay, this is a trip. But he is a fantastic guy to work with. He's got a great vision. I mean, he is an artist, so he lets you do your thing, which is great. Because some directors try to pigeonhole you into what they see it to be. And he let us do our own thing. Sometimes he let us do our thing a little too much. You know, he'd let the camera roll because he'd get into it, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's really cool." It's actually my first scene on Halloween 1 with Scout. We shot the basement scene where the girl's laying dead in front of us, and she picks up the knife. She actually picked up the knife and stabbed me in the shoulder with a real knife. I was like, damn! I've got another month and a half on this. Am I gonna die? But luckily I had a leather piece there that she hit that didn't go in too bad, so. But it was a lot of fun.
I have one thing to say because we have to wrap this out. I want to thank the organization here who brought us here to talk and sign autographs and pictures and all that. But this is really a wealthy cause. But I was unbelievably impressed when they drove me up this road to see this building for the first time. And then last night we talked to some ghost for a half hour, and I found out he belonged to the union. But other than that. But it was really exciting to go through here last night, but to see it today. So in your hearts, and you know people, support this good cause. What they're trying to do is redo this building and for shows or amphitheaters or whatever they're trying to do. So I thank you, and I thank you for appearing for them. They're welcome donations or whatever, how you want to do it, or if you want to work for them on another show, volunteer. But for myself, this is a healthy, good cause, and I think Buffalo needs it because one vacant big building like this makes all those other little buildings down there in town look small. So this is quite an achievement of architect, and I was really impressed, so thank you very much.
Did you have a question? We have one more question,
How did you make the transition from wrestling to doing the acting? Like,
How did I make the transition from pro wrestling to acting?
Yeah.
Actually, I wrestled all over the world. I wrestled in Mexico City, where they make these Mexican wrestling films. Have you ever seen any of them? They're kind of cheesy. Well, I got an opportunity to do one where I played an intergalactic vampire with 3 midget wrestler sidekicks dressed up as aliens back in the late 80s. Why are you laughing? Have you seen it? Good. He hasn't seen it. I'm not even going to tell you what the name of that damn thing was. But I did that. I did that, and I realized, hey, I want to do that instead of getting dropped on my head, because they feed you. And then Universal Action Pack, they were doing the sequel to the Smoking the Bandit. They did the 4 different films to see which one, and they asked me if I wanted to be in that. And I did that in 92, and then I realized I wanted to get into the acting instead of getting dropped on my head. And Sabretooth came along, and when that came along, I hung up my wrestling boots and had a great career, 11 and a half years, went all over the world, but that's how I transitioned into acting. A cheesy wrestling Mexican wrestling movie. It happened, sorry. Actually, I studied Shakespeare and no. Thank you for coming, guys. Have a great time. Thanks for coming. Have a great time, and we will see you guys around the show, okay? All right, take care.